Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Super excited today because in my introduction video I told you guys that I was going to tell you how I graduated early, and then 6 months went by and I did not do that. So I'm excited because I'm finally going to tell you guys, and I'm also going to be able to tell you guys my story of how I graduated early and why I wanted to graduate early, because it seems to be a question that people in my life ask me when they're like, oh my god, congrats, you graduated early, but why'd you want to graduate early? And then I gotta be like, oh. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys too. I'm gonna take you along with the steps. Okay, so first, I graduated early because I just felt that high school wasn't it for me. Not like the social crowd wasn't it for me, because like cliques and social crowds will always be there no matter where you go. Whether you go to college, whether you go to a trade school, whether you work in the world, there's always cliques. But I graduated early because I just felt like high school wasn't it for me. I felt like I was meant for something more sooner than waiting 4 years. I kind of knew that I wanted to do this in about 8th grade. Like, that was like already in my mind that I wanted to do it, and it was in my mind freshman year too, but like I had things keeping me at the time, so I was like, oh, I don't want to do it because I don't want to leave these people behind and yada yada yada. And then like along the way I realized those people weren't really for me, so it was okay anyways. But I talked to my high school counselor about whether or not I wanted to graduate once I finally figured it out, because towards the end of freshman year I figured out I do want to graduate early, that like it doesn't really matter whether or not I have people here. They'll be here if they really want to stay. So the third week, or the third day of sophomore year, I walked into my high school counselor's office and I was like, hey, I want to graduate early. And then she was so excited for me. She's like, you know what, I knew this was for you. I was like, you just knew before me. Didn't want to bring it up though, you just knew. But she was really dope about it. She's helped me along in the process so much, or helped me along, because I graduated already. I graduated on June 9th and it's the 21st right now, so yeah, like I graduated a couple weeks ago, and that was pretty dope. It was a little weird because like, you know, COVID, but it was dope. But she was super excited for me, and my parents were pretty on board for it. My mom knows me. My mom was like, she wants to do it, she's gonna do it, she's gonna, like, or we can't convince her otherwise. My dad, on the other hand, he was trying to be like, you know what, you should experience life, you should experience high school, you should do this, you should do that. And I was like, I don't think I want to experience any of that. I feel like it's all almost the same. Yeah, that was crazy to me. Eventually he was on board with it, and he's on board with it now, and now he's super excited to watch me go off to college, which is still a little weird for me. I'm like, you're gonna cry, you're gonna be sad. No, I'm kidding. Now I'm gonna tell you guys the steps that I either think you should take or you should take before graduating early, and to graduate early, or just like take you the steps that I at least took, or I wish somebody had told me to take. So step 1, decide whether or not you really want to do this, because it's not all like, oh, I'm graduating early, I get to go to prom early, I get to walk early, I get to do a senior party. Like, for example, I had the mindset for graduating early before COVID. So when COVID happened, I was like kind of upset because I didn't really get a proper graduation. Like, we walked, but it was just different. And then we didn't get a prom, and we didn't get a senior celebration, or at least if we did, it definitely wasn't put on by the school, it was put on by students, like out of their own pocket and stuff. I don't know what COVID looks like for the next 3 or 4 years, so I can't be like, oh, you're not gonna get any of that stuff, because I don't know, because I can't tell you that. But like, decide whether or not you really want this. Like, are you doing this because you're trying to move out of your house early? Are you doing this because you don't like people at school? Figure that part out. Also figure out what you want to do after high school, because like me, I knew I wanted to own my own business. I was like, I want to study business out of college, so I'm going to the illustrious Clark Atlanta University, to study business administration. But I knew that. I didn't know I wanted to go to Clark Atlanta, but I knew that I wanted to go to college. Originally, my plan before COVID had happened was that I would stay here. I would graduate early and I would stay here for 2 years and do community college. And then I would go to Clark Atlanta University and have like associate's degree. So then I would be working on my bachelor's while I was there. Or like finish off my bachelor's early, so I would like essentially be graduating early from high school too. But then it just made more sense to go into college now because, well, when COVID hit, I felt like the momentum wouldn't be the same. And then I also felt like really wanted to go even more because I was sick when we took the SATs, so I didn't have any of my SATs, ACT scores, and at the time they weren't giving them out. Now they're like little centers and stuff opened up where you can go and take them if you want to take them, but it wasn't a requirement for colleges anymore for you to take your SATs or ACTs because a lot of people knew that when COVID hit, it hit right in those dates where you were supposed to take your SATs, ACTs. So that, oh, like, you don't gotta do it because not everybody did it. But that was another reason why I wanted to do it, because I was like, ooh, what if in those 2 years while I'm at community college, they don't follow that same, oh, you have to take your SATs, ACTs in order to get into this college. And I'm really bad with tests. I don't know if you're bad with tests. I'm really bad with tests, so I was happy to skip that test. Well, I didn't skip it. I was sick. But I mean, like, I'm happy about the fact that I don't have to take the test in order to go to the college I want to go to. But yeah, so just make sure you have plans. Try to see yourself 4 years from now. Like, I know you might be in high school right now or about to start into high school, but like, try to see yourself 4 years or 5 years from now if you're trying to graduate early. Where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself on a college campus? Do you see yourself starting your own business and having free time for that because you don't have school? Do you see yourself working some type of job? Like, just, I would try to figure that out before just decide I want to graduate early. Because I mean, my thing changed a couple times, but still it stayed in a general sense. Stayed like the same thing. Step 2, make sure you talk to your parents. I feel like that's super important because you need a support system on your side. I feel like at least it's important to have a support system. So let's say like maybe you don't live with your parents, you live with somebody else, maybe like a grandma or something like that, or maybe you don't want any of them to like really know. I mean, your legal guardian technically has to like sign off on papers and stuff that they acknowledge that you want to do this as well. But just make sure you have a support system. I had a support system of friends, and then I also had my parents as a support system, and my brother as well. Like, they were super excited for me to graduate early, and they were like pushing me to do better and keep doing it. Even though there were times where I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this no more. I shouldn't do this no more. But yeah, they were good to help keep me going. So I think it's important that you talk to your parents, or at least your people important around you, so that you have that support system and you don't feel like you're doing it all alone, because it does get rough, especially during COVID. It got rough. Hopefully you guys won't have to go through the same thing when you do decide to graduate. You won't be in the middle of a freaking pandemic, but it was rough. Step 3, after you like go through making sure this is what you really want to do, having an idea set in place and having a support system, go and talk to your high school counselor. I kind of did these steps a little behind because I was just like, 3rd day of high school, I was like, yeah, bro, I need to get out of here. I was like, it's not worth it. I just need to go. But I kind of talked about it a little bit with my mom, so she at least knew. Make sure you talk to your high school counselor, because if you don't, really all you're doing is talking, because none of these steps are going to get put into anything if you don't talk to your high school counselor, because she or he is like kind of the one that sets everything off for you. My high school counselor was pretty on board, because I want to say I was, because I'm not completely a straight A student anymore, but because I'm gonna say I was a straight A student all freshman year, and then it was like pretty much the same for sophomore year as well. So I think that's why, another reason why she was pretty on board with it. So I would say make sure you have pretty good grades going into it, because I think that will give you a better chance of your coordinator, or not your coordinator, your high school counselor being on board with you and wanting to go. So my high school was a dual credit program. So we did credits with 2 different colleges. One of the colleges you would get your credits from in your senior class. So like that kind of didn't really matter at the moment, but something that did matter was getting me signed up for the other high school class or for the other college, because those ones were like classes that you got to take on your own. You had to sign up for them and you had to go to the office and sign up for them, and you had to go take an acuplacer test and all that stuff. I did that maybe the 3rd or 4th week of my sophomore year. Before I did that, I had to have like a couple conversations with the college and career coordinator and the college person.
I meant to say the lady I would have to talk to for college credits.
Like, I had to talk with them and sit down and make sure this is really what I wanted. Know that you're gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to explain to a lot of people that this is really what you want, if this is really what you want. And like, for real, you need to prepare yourself for that, because they'll try to doubt you. Like, looking back at it now, I don't think it was necessarily in like a messed up intention type of way where it was like, oh, we're gonna doubt you because you don't want to do this. But it's more so to make sure this is really what you want, because you are getting put through a lot of work. But I talked to those people, and then I got myself dually enrolled, because as of sophomore year I hadn't been enrolled yet, because technically junior year is when everybody is supposed to enroll, but freshman year and sophomore year are more so optional. They encourage you to enroll sophomore year though, but sophomore and freshman are pretty much optional, but junior is like mandatory. You have to take at least some type of class. I took a couple business classes. I took a business class, personal finance class, and a small business class. Yeah, and those went pretty well for me. The only class that didn't go really well was the small business class, and that was because COVID had hit and I did not have any motivation to do my work, and I had no idea how to do my work anymore. Like, it just like, I didn't really create schedules for myself. Like, I had schedules laid out, but it helped more when I was at school, because I was like, oh, I'm not doing any work, I have no work done in this class, so I can do work in this class instead. But I didn't have that same system anymore, so it was kind of harder to do. But definitely set a schedule and a system in place for all this stuff, because it's definitely difficult to do, but it can be done. I took most of my junior year classes in night school in the summer. That was one of the things that I started with my high school counselor when we went to go talk to the college credit people. So I got set up for my night school classes. After that, I pretty much went to go talk to my principal and my vice principal. I had just sit downs with them. With my vice principal, she like brought out a piece of paper and went through the same things I had basically been going through with everybody else, like letting her know I was taking my college credits, letting her know I was getting my credits for junior year as well. After talking to the vice principal about setting up, she asked me where I wanted to go, and by that point I knew I wanted to go to Clark Atlanta University, but she was just writing it all down, and we were talking about advice and asking me like pretty like critical thinking questions. She like asked me the ratio of one of the colleges or something like that. I think she was just trying to get the fact in my head that there will be more students than just a high school, because like high schools are pretty small and it's pretty one-on-one for the most part. It's like 15 to 1 teacher or something like that most of the time, depending on where you go. She was just really trying to tell me it's not the same as high school, and I knew that, but it was still nice to hear somebody else say it, that it wasn't the same as high school. But she was cool about it, and she like just gave me advice. She didn't go to an HBCU. Clark Atlanta University is an HBCU. Gave me tips for any college, like basically if you're a student of color, find those clubs or find those centers on campus where you can go to and just like hang out in there in your free period. Make sure you're known in those places, because then when things come up like job opportunities or just mentorship opportunities or something like that, then they'll be considering you as like the first one, which I thought was pretty cool. I think that's pretty much it for this video. I've gone through all my notes that I wrote down for the most part. Well, I did go through all my notes, but I think there's anything else I need to say. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below, or DM me on Instagram, or message me on my spam Instagram, whichever one you please. I'm not picky. I will answer you though. I will. I may take a minute, but I will answer you, I promise. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching this video all the way to the end. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I post every Friday and sometimes Mondays. So yeah, bye guys.